A few weeks ago, I told you about my new Nissan S-Cargo. For those of you who didn't see that video, the S-Cargo is this weird 1980s Japanese imported van thing that's called the S-Cargo because it looks like a snail, and the French word for snail is escargot. I'm serious. Now, a lot of you wanted to see more of the S-Cargo, so in this video I'm going to take you on a little tour and show you all of its quirks. There are many of them. We'll start with the most obvious and the most annoying quirk, the chime. Now, back in the 1980s, the national speed limit in Japan was 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour, and the government required every automaker to install a chime in every vehicle that alerts you if you happen to be going the lightning fast speed of 61 miles an hour. Take a listen. As long as you're going over 60 miles an hour, that noise never turns off. Try driving this thing on the highway for a couple of hours. You'll quickly find that that noise is the single most annoying thing of all time. Interestingly, that's not the S-Cargo's only annoying chime. It also sounds a chime when you shift into reverse. Not on the outside of the car to warn people that you're coming, but on the inside to let you know that you're in reverse. The S-Cargo also has a few other annoying quirks. For example, the radio goes from 76 to 90. Let me explain what I mean. You know how we listen to 103.1 or 104.5? Not in the S-Cargo. Its radio goes from 76 to 90. So you can't listen to those stations, but if you want to hear the static on 77.2, be my guest. Then there's the mirrors. Unlike most mirrors, the whole assembly moves, and they don't exactly click into place. So you're driving along on the highway, and the wind sort of gradually pushes them down over time. So what you have to do is you have to roll down the window and put them back up. And then over time, the wind continues to push them back down, so then you roll down the window and put them back up. Really, it's a blast. Speaking of the windows, let's talk about them. The windows are separated into two pieces. There's the upper part, which is fixed, and then the lower part, which you roll up and down. They're very weird, and so is the windshield, which is sort of curved back. In fact, they're such unusual pieces that supposedly Nissan S-Cargo glass replacements are absolutely impossible to find. Another annoyance, the fuel tank is only 7 gallons, and this thing has a 3-speed automatic, which means that it's working incredibly hard and burning a ton of fuel just to get you going 60 miles an hour on the highway. For proof, this weekend I went to Cars and Coffee 80 miles away. I filled it up before I left, drove there. On the way back, before I left, I had to fill it up again, and now I'm back, and it's now at half a tank again. The S-Cargo's other big annoyance is also a problem with a lot of right-hand drive cars that have been imported from Japan. Specifically, the turn signals and the windshield wipers are switched. So, if you use your left hand to put on the turn signal, actually the windshield wiper comes on. And if you use your right hand thinking you're going to put on the wiper, actually the turn signal comes on. This is kind of annoying, and it's something you have to constantly be thinking about, or else you'll just look like that idiot driving around in that van that looks like a snail who always wipes his windshield for no reason. But the quirks of this car aren't all annoying. Some of them are just weird. For example, the shifter. Nissan clearly designed this car to have a shifter on the dashboard, but they didn't have a tiny gear lever to put there. So they just took a regular Nissan automatic transmission floor shift lever and stuck it on the dashboard. There's also the gauge cluster, which is almost comically gigantic, and the weird single-spoke steering wheel, which was inspired by the steering wheel in the Citroën 2CV. Also, the spare tire, located in the back, under the floor, no, under the passenger seat. One brilliant feature, everything in this car is manual. Manual seats, manual windows, manual locks, manual mirrors, except the rear tailgate. You can unlock it and lock it automatically from the driver's seat. Why is this brilliant? Well, if you're doing a quick delivery in your S-Cargo, you don't have to turn off the car. You can just unlock the rear tailgate, jump out, run around to the back, and open it up, all without killing the engine or taking out your key. It's pretty smart. Another smart detail here is the S-Cargo's ashtray. And since it would be hard to empty the ashtray if it was just fixed inside the car, the entire panel containing it lifts right out, so you can easily empty it. Another great S-Cargo design feature. Owing to its strange proportions, it has a ton of headroom. I'm 6'3". This is a ruler. I'm going to put it upright on my head, and it still doesn't touch the roof. I also love how narrow it is. Want to get a toll booth ticket or go through the drive-thru at a fast food restaurant? Even though you're in a right-hand drive car? No problem. Of course, not everything about the S-Cargo's dimensions is beneficial. It is taller than it is wide, which means a quick turn could also mean a quick rollover. And the rollover risk isn't the only problem with the S-Cargo's dimensions. At only 139 inches long, the S-Cargo doesn't really have enough room for a back seat, but it has one anyway with only a few little problems. For example, the back seat doesn't lock into place, the back seat has no seat belts, and the back seat has no legroom. Other than that, though, it's a highly functional and useful back seat. So there you go. Those are all of the S-Cargo's mini quirks. And for more of my thoughts on them, click the link below to check out my column on autotrader.com/oversteer. And keep following along, because I have a lot more planned for the S-Cargo. For example, next week I'm going to take it to the DMV to register it, which should be a blast, because we all know how much the DMV loves dealing with weird right-hand drive imported Japanese cars.